sure you don't feel like going back to the party now. Wait here about 15 minutes and I'll take you into Santa Monica.
I want to go with Angela.
Yvonne, I know your feelings, but please believe me, it's better that you stay here. Please believe that, Yvonne.
Now what?
We gotta get her away from here.
Well, I better get started.
Where are you going?
I don't know. I've never had to try anything like this before. It's hard to figure out what to do.
Larry, boy. Now look, it's a terrible tragedy. I won't forget what you're doing, Larry. And I'll see to it that other people remember it, too. Important people on the top floor of the building.
Yeah. Have you told the others in there yet?
No. But I may not. I'll get them out of here after a while. Most of them will want to know as little about this as possible anyway. Right.
Onward and upward.
That's right, Larry. Onward and upward.
I heard my dog barking and howling, so I came running. Well, there she was. I guess you're not supposed to move a body, Sergeant, but I couldn't be sure whether she was dead or not. So I thought I'd get her out of the water.
That's understandable. Jack, when you came in sight of the body, did you see or hear anything unusual?
No, sir, nothing.
Pretty strong tide rolling out.
You bet it is. There aren't many spots along the coast where it runs much stronger this time of year.
I don't know much about the ocean, but with the tide rolling this way and the girl just drowning a few hours ago, wouldn't it be more probable to carry her out than in?
I would think so, Sergeant.
When you looked at her, did you recognize her at all?
No. As far as I know, I've never seen her in my life. She's a pretty girl, though.
Yeah. Very young, too.
What's the matter, Yvonne?
I can't stop thinking about Angela. In the cold water. Oh, Larry, how could you?
It's the only thing I could think of. The only way I thought might keep them from finding out what happened. They think she drowned. Or if they never find her.
That's what you want? Not a grave, not a priest, just dead and forgotten.
Not what I want. What might save us.
You think we're worth saving?
Angela is dead. No matter what we do, we can't change that. Now we gotta think of those who aren't dead. I loved Angela.
No, you didn't, Larry. Angela loved you. Oh, you didn't mind that. In fact, you found her love very useful, didn't you?
That's not true.
Well, maybe you loved her as much as you were able to. As much as you could love anybody.
That's not true.
Dan?
Well, good morning, Nick. How's the redhead over in missing persons?
Downhearted because it was me who went over there, not you.
She's got taste. Hey, this is the coroner's autopsy. Apparently, she died of a combination of heavy quantities of alcohol and a drug known as Simogene.
Simogene. It's one of the barbiturates, isn't it?
Yeah, it takes a prescription to get it, but apparently it's prescribed quite often. She must have taken several times the normal dosage. That, combined with the alcohol, depressed the body functions and caused her death.
Well, you haven't missed anything so far.
What about her prints?
Nothing in our print room, the sheriff's, or the CIA. I sent some copies on to Washington.
Well, this may help us some. There's no manufacturer's name, no cleaning marks, but the lab thinks it might have cost a lot of money. I think I'll start with that. Mr. Kuzak?
Oh, no. I'm his son, Gene.
Oh.
The old man died about 3 years ago, I guess. Haven't had the heart to take his name off the door. Hey, you the policeman been running around all over 7th Street looking for a girl to fit a bathing suit?
You mean I'm famous already?
Well, no, you know, most of us guys lunch in the same places or stand around outside the buildings afterwards. I just afraid I was going to be left out, that's all.
You recognize this suit?
Hey, that is the old man's suit. You see, he still has the business. Now, this is my suit. And I'm not surprised nobody told you the fact.
Oh, why is that?
Well, because nobody has seen it. Hey, this is an expensive suit, $69.95 retail. The girl who wore it, she got it for nothing. Here, step over here a minute. Right down here. There. Hey? Not even on the market yet.
How did she get it?
Well, she modeled it. Girl models the suit for you, let her keep the suit.
Do you happen to know who this girl is?
Well, no, but I can tell you who might. Now, the lady I placed these suits with does a fashion show, you know, at different restaurants around town. Her name is Loretta DeMarco.
I phoned the DeMarco woman's business number. Actually, it's an answering service. Operator said we could contact her at a fashion show she's giving tonight at a place called the Seven Club. Do you know it?
I don't think so. But we'll have something to ask her. Washington.
Reference 315274. Your prints identical to prints are files taken of one Angela DeSantis, born 3142, Baltimore, Maryland. Prints taken 4/11/45, DeSantis girl, then Lodge, Baltimore orphanage, listed ward of state of Maryland. That explains why her parents haven't come forward. She doesn't have any.
Gonna come with me to the fashion show?
You
You don't have to. All I have to do is
You
ask.
sure you don't mind?
Oh, boy, that redhead must be something.
The men buy the suits for their wives or girlfriends, but they always ask me the same question. Does the girl go with the suit? Oh, it's a cornball world, Sergeant. If I had a buck for all the times they asked me if the girl went with the suit, I could buy a palace in Venice. Can you imagine me in the piazza with a handsome, young Italian prince?
Well, sure. One on each arm. How long did Angela work for you?
Oh, only 3 or 4 times. These girls come and go, Sergeant. They lead weird lives. They have good figures, and some of them have good heads, but they have terrible taste in men.
Did she leave you an address in case you want to get in touch with her?
I may have it in my purse in the owner's office. Oh, Yvonne, honey, you knew Angela, didn't you?
Yes, Mr. Marco. Slightly.
Well, maybe you can help Sergeant Anderson then.
Yvonne,
Blair.
Blair.
I didn't know her very well. Is something wrong, Sergeant?
Well, you may have read in the morning papers. Girl who was found on the beach.
Not Angela.
I'm afraid so. I'm sorry.
It's horrible. She was so pretty.
You know where she lived?
Well, I think somewhere in Santa Monica.
Any of the other girls know her better?
I don't really know.
Sit down.
Oh, no, thank you. What do the police think happened to Angela?
Well, we don't know yet. We do know she didn't drown. She may have killed herself. Somebody may have watched her die.
I'm sorry I don't have an address after all. Yvonne, you better get out there. The natives are getting restless.
Yes. Bye, Sergeant.
Morning, Mr. Lee.
Good morning, Larry boy.
I expect you know they found Angela.
I can read. They know who the girl was and what she did. It's a good thing you're in public relations and not in espionage.
Thanks.
You look terrible, Larry.
Thanks again. I keep having the same dream. I'm holding her in my arms again, walking out into the water. My trouser legs are wet all over again. And then she's not dead. Or she's screaming.
Larry, I didn't call you over here in order to make you feel worse. As a matter of fact, my message is confidence, optimism, patience, and 100 shares of preferred.
I appreciate the shares of preferred, sir, but I don't quite see the basis for optimism.
They know the girl was an orphan from Maryland, and they know she worked as a bathing suit model. What else?
They know she didn't drown.
And that's all they know. That's the extent of the damage. And I think we can hold it right there. Have you talked to Yvonne lately?
Not since after the party.
Well, I'm sure you'll know how to handle her. I know you with women.
Maybe my luck is running out.
Not luck, Larry. It's a gift. Larry, I've told you how grateful we are, will continue to be, for what you're doing. But there are two sides to the coin, Larry. We've rewarded valor with the expectation that further acts of valor will be rendered.
I don't quite understand.
Will you just calm down, Larry? Get yourself something to help you sleep and forget all about 2 nights ago. Don't invent trouble for yourself. After all, Larry, there's a good deal to be conserved here. The public image of 2 industrial complexes and the reputations of several very important people?
Yes. It's those very important people that left me a dead girl to get rid of.
French?
That's right. You're from the police?
Sergeant Anderson.
I suppose you want to see Angela's apartment.
Yes, if it's convenient.
Come with me. You know, I never walk past this thing, but what I think of poor Bill Holden going into that one in Sunset Boulevard. Did you see the picture, sir?
Yes, a couple of times.
Well, I have a pool, but no Bill Holden. It's a dreadful thing about poor Angela. I've been out of town. I just got back this morning in time to read the papers. Dreadful.
Did Angela share this apartment with anyone else?
Yes, with Yvonne. They've been here less than a month.
Yvonne?
Yes,
Would her last name be Blair?
that's right. Have you already told her about Angela?
In a way. Use your phone, Mrs. French.
Certainly, right there. They had a few pictures on the walls, and a small TV.
Madison 45211, please.
They wanted to be models.
Sergeant Kirby.
You know, break into pictures. I told them better luck than I had.
Dan, Nick. There was a girl at the fashion show named Yvonne Blair. Keep checking with the DeMarco woman for her address. She shared an apartment with Angela.
Right. Now I have a couple of juicy items for you. A coroner's jury came in a half hour ago with a verdict of apparent accidental death.
Well, I don't agree. What's the other item?
15 minutes after the verdict, a mortician with officers on the east side claimed the body.
You talked to him?
Yeah, just finished. He doesn't know a thing. He received 2 anonymous phone calls and a cash in an unmarked envelope. Funeral's at 11 o'clock at Our Lady of Guadalupe Cemetery.
All right. I'm sorry, Mrs. French. Now, you were saying?
I said that I wished them better luck in Hollywood than I had.
Oh. You were in Hollywood? You didn't tell me you were in motion pictures.
Well, not that you could notice it. I had many interviews, but few parts. In my youth, I resembled Betty Davis a great deal. And in Hollywood, there can be a personal tragedy when you too closely resemble a great star. You think I still resemble her?
I'm sorry, I don't see the resemblance at all.
Don't be sorry. If you had said that I still did, I would have refused to help the police investigation.
Did both girls come out from Florida together?
About a month ago.
Did they have any visitors? They introduce you to anyone?
Well, they had one. I was never introduced to him, I'm sorry to say. He always nodded. Very well dressed, drove a flashy car. He looked like one of those young executives on the way up.
Hmm.
Where tuem in botis tonen volutatem ot. Sicut hic eam vera fides junctis fidelium sturmis ita illic eam. Tua miseratio societ angelic coris per Christum Dominis nostrum. Amen.
Priest, an undertaker, and a detective. Lonely way to go, isn't it, Father?
She's not alone now, son.
Mr. Garcia, did you supply this wreath?
No, Sergeant. I had one in the car, which we could have used, but this was here when we came.
Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like the girl who bought the flowers. Nice figure. Of course, I'd have to have a photograph to be sure.
Well, did you take her name and address, accept a check, anything like that?
Take her name? Why would I take her name? The dead girl's name, that I took. The address of the cemetery, that I need. Check? A girl comes in here off the boulevard and buys some flowers for a funeral on the other side of town. And I'm going to take a check? Cash. Look, mister, I'm sorry I can't help you anymore, but if you had a photograph of her or something that would refresh my memory, because I'm sure I've seen her someplace before.
Maybe in a fashion show in a local bar. She was a model.
Hey, that's it. I didn't see her in person. I saw her in one of those girly magazines. You know, the kind that they take in those model studios?
Thanks a lot.
Listen, it'll be a nicer day than running after a couple of crummy burglars, huh?
All right, fellas, the hour's up. Hope to see you all again real soon. You all right, honey?
I guess so.
You just got one more.
Oh, no. Not another group.
Private session.
Ugh.
Yvonne, can you leave now?
Where are we going?
Well, I don't know. Where do you live?
I live at the Viscount in the valley, on Ventura.
All right, you get dressed. I'll take you home.
All right.
You knew Angela quite a while.
10 years.
Where'd you first meet her?
The orphanage. Well, they didn't really call it an orphanage because there were some kids there whose parents put them there, or the county just decided they were better off.
Were you working in a club in Florida?
No. No, Angela had a friend who had a lot of money, and he wanted to take her there, so I went along for the sunshine.
Hmm. Was that said to shock or enlighten?
I don't know, maybe both. I guess you went to a lot of trouble to find me, didn't you? And you're here because Angela's dead. I guess I wanted to fill you in on a little background, that's all.
Thank you. There's this young man with a fancy car who resembles a young executive on his way to the top. You and he and Angela have spent a great deal of time with each other since you've been in California. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
What's his name?
Why do you have to know?
Well, you said it. Because Angela's dead.
He had nothing to do with her dying.
And why don't you give me his name?
Well, because you'd go after him like you've gone after me, and it just wouldn't do any good.
What do you mean by that?
Angela killed herself.
Why did Angela kill herself?
She was despondent. We were running out of money.
You already told me there was this millionaire in Florida. Aren't there men of comparable means here in California?
She was tired of them. Tired of life.
You saw her kill herself?
No.
But she did tell you she was going to take her life.
Uh-huh.
And you let it happen?
Well, I tried to stop her.
10 years? 10 years of orphanages and foster homes and millionaires in Florida, and you let her walk out? You let her walk out full of liquor into that ocean? You don't even call for help? You let it happen?
Stop her! Please stop.
All right. She had a pretty lonely service this morning. arranged for the funeral service, didn't you?
Yes. Angela lived half her life on the county. I couldn't let her die that way. I know how they bury someone who's penniless and unclaimed. I just couldn't let that happen to her.
She didn't kill herself, did she, Yvonne?
No.
Well, if you know who killed her and you're afraid of him,
No one killed her.
how did she die?
I don't want to answer any more questions, Sergeant. Please.
Yvonne,
If you want to arrest me, go ahead. I just don't want to answer any more questions.
I'm not going to arrest you, Yvonne. I have nothing on you yet. Yvonne, when Angela ran away from that orphanage, did you go with her?
I went about a week later. You're asking questions again, Sergeant.
That's my way of life. I wouldn't run away again, Yvonne. I'd find you, you know. Just as I'm going to find the young man with the fancy car and the beautiful manners.
A hunter who doesn't miss.
Good night.
You sure you don't want the works, Mr. Lee?
I wish I had the time, Bo.
Your neck muscles feel pretty tense to me.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised. Bo, I'm faced with a little situation that I've never been faced with before.
Somebody giving you trouble, Mr. Lee?
No, not so far. But I might want you to do an errand or two for me. Maybe talk to a couple of people. Suppose you could find time to do that, Bo?
For you? You just tell me what you want done and when, and it's done. You're one guy who still remembers what I was. There you go.
Those were the great days, huh, Bo? How many points was it you made in that last quarter against Michigan? 21?
24. 3 touchdowns from scrimmage and a 98-yard punt return.
Larry Taverner would like a minute.
All right, have him come in. Give us a minute, will you, Bo?
Okay, Mr. Lee.
Good morning, Mr. Lee.
Good morning, Larry.
Yvonne called me last night. The police found her. Asked her about Angela's death.
She didn't.
No, she didn't, but I met her early this morning. She's ready to crack wide open. She wants money to run on.
Oh? How much does she want?
It's about 200. Enough to get out of town across the state line.
All right. 200 isn't a lot of money. Tie straight?
No, sir, it isn't.
But, suppose we give her the 200 and she goes away for a few days, then comes back. Conscious of her continued value, conscious of the possibility of blackmail.
Oh, no, she wouldn't do that.
Well, it's my impression, Larry, that an employee initially unreliable remains unreliable.
What do you want to do, fire Yvonne?
In the normal course of business, that might be the indicated solution. However, in areas outside of business, we might have to seek firmer solutions. Thank you.
What is your idea of a firmer solution?
I haven't an idea. If I were faced with that situation, I'd seek the advice of someone who is used to handling such things.
Are you talking about murder?
I don't remember using the word.
I don't believe what I'm hearing. I'm listening to an urbane and beautifully mannered cannibal.
You're also listening to a senior officer of a corporation which you serve in a relatively minor executive capacity. And it occurs to me that you're going to need the help of that organization and its power.
As much as I could, Yvonne. $200.
Thank you, Larry.
Well, you're on your way. Where are you going?
Just as far as this will take me.
You know, I almost wish I was doing the same thing.
No, you don't, Larry. You know where you're going.
You...
Larry!
Go home now.
Larry?
He's being booked right now on suspicion of murder.
He didn't kill anybody.
Well, Yvonne, he's admitted to obtaining the drug that caused her death. He's admitted to disposing of the body. He's admitted that he was alone with her on the night that ended with her death. That's the basis for the booking. In a few months, a district attorney, a defense attorney, a judge, and a jury will decide exactly what he is or isn't guilty of.
Then you're finished. The hunt is over.
Truth had come out. Me, another officer. In the end, it would have been the same.
I think I always knew that.
I'm sorry that in looking for it, you were in the way. I can arrange for a car to take you home.
No, I always feel a little uneasy in a police car. I'm afraid they might change their minds halfway home.
Good night, Yvonne.
Hey, pal, do me a favor, will you?
Jake, what's a five-letter word for excitement?
Girls. John, there's a Mr. Lee over at the table. He'd like to meet you.
Who is he?
He's a big wheel with Wyman Metals. Usually got a couple of good-looking dolls with him.
So?
Will you go over and talk to him? He throws a lot of business my way. Mr. Lee? John Egan.
Oh, Mr. Egan. How very nice of you to come by. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
I took the liberty of ordering you a drink.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Well, I must apologize for interrupting what I'm sure must be a very precious period of leisure.
Of course.
But I'm under a somewhat strict regimen myself.
What is it you wanted to talk to me about, Mr. Lee?
I suppose it's impossible these days, what with radio, television, newspapers, for anyone to be unfamiliar with the Larry Taverner case.
It'd be very difficult. Scandal by the sea, I'd say Mr. Taverner was in a lot of trouble.
Yes, well, up until the time of his arrest, he worked for us. Wyman Metals. I'm vice president in charge of public relations.
Well, if he no longer works for you, why the...
Under the circumstances, there was no course open to us except to suspend him. However, as I say, he did work for us, and he did a good job. I was personally very fond of young Taverner, although I admit I didn't realize everything that was in him. Now, we have determined to secure for him the very best representation possible. Oh, we don't expect any miracles, Mr. Egan. But if somewhere along the line a compromise could be found in terms of the charge against him, probation, of course you realize I'm speaking unofficially.
You mean, Mr. Lee, your company'd be happy if Taverner were found, little guilty?
Not in so many words.
Well, now, suppose I talk to him. I become convinced he's innocent, and I win him an acquittal. Would your company be as happy?
That possibility hadn't occurred to us, Mr. Egan. But if that were possible, of course, we'd be very happy indeed.
He's been in custody since the preliminary, hasn't he?
Yes. Yes, the prosecution was able to set up a very stiff bail.
Why didn't your company put up that bail?
The public image of my company was involved.
All right, Mr. Lee. I'll talk to him.
You mean you'll take the case?
No, I mean I'll talk to him at the county jail. Mr. Taverner?
Mr. Egan.
How are you?
Good. You obviously carry some weight around here. When the guys in the cell block heard that you were willing to speak to me, they practically had me on the streets and home free.
Well, it's not that easy.
No, I guess it isn't. Turner Lee get in touch with you?
Yes, it seems your former employers are still concerned about what happens to you.
Yeah. Great company.
No, you don't seem very grateful to them.
Well, gratitude's a little hard to come by in here.
What do you think should be happening to you?
I think I should be out of here. That's what I think. Wyman Metals got the money. You're the legal. I don't see what the problem is.
The problem is a dead girl.
I don't need that from you. I'm sorry Angela is dead. I didn't force her to go to my apartment. I didn't tie her hands behind her back. And my rotting in this cell isn't gonna change things.
Are you telling me you're innocent?
No, Mr. Egan, I'm guilty. I live in a world where everybody's a little guilty. I'm no different than anybody else.
God forbid you're right. I suppose you drove a flashy car on the outside, huh?
Yeah, I had a beauty. What about it?
And you had nice clothes?
If I had 6 or 7 suits in a closet, I worked to pay for them.
And I'm sure you knew a lot of attractive girls.
Yeah. I'll admit to that.
And it was a point of great importance that each girl should become dependent on you, anxious to please you.
Sure, why not?
And I'm certain that in each and every case you felt no greater moral or emotional commitment to each girl than you did to that flashy car or those 7 suits in the closet, huh? Each was an important asset to a success story. Lawrence Taverner, young man on his way to the top, huh?
Was that a crime? Oh, I was supposed to...
Did you ever give respect or honor or pity? Anybody ever mention the dignity of an individual human being to you?
You ever make an application for a credit card and list respect and honor as assets? You ever get into an executive dining room because you felt pity?
I'm not talking about credit cards or executive dining rooms. I'm speaking about a girl you dropped in the Pacific Ocean. That's what the state wants you for, my boy.
Yeah. You sound as if you want to help them.
Tabner, I want you to write a detailed account of the events leading up to that girl's death.
Hey, are you going to take the case?
Then I want you to write a life history of yourself. Schools, parents, jobs, all of it.
Why?
Why?
Why do you need that?
What are you ashamed of?
I'm not ashamed of anything.
Well, then write it.
What's the matter?
I thought when I came down here there was a possibility that somebody wanted you sent to jail. Now I'm wondering why an organization as immense as Wyman Metals even thinks you're worth bothering about.
Guard? Mr. Egan. I was a very loyal employee.
I suppose that's it.
How you doing in this joint, buddy?
Every day is more fun than the one before.
Well, things are gonna get pretty rough when you go to trial.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to remind you that no matter what happens, you hold together. It'll be worth it to you.
Sure.
Funny thing, these jails. I was up here one morning on a matter and found a guy dead in one of the cells. Funny thing about that guy, he was hanging from a clothesline. They called it suicide. Maybe it was, and maybe it wasn't. One thing for sure, he was very dead. I'm not through yet, Larry. That's better. So you see, on the street or off, a guy never knows, does he?
I guess not.
You remember, hang tough. You got everything to gain. Or lose. I'll see you again, Larry.
The deputy. That's the man I wanted to see. Taverner, go back to the table. You've got another visitor.
Hi, Jake.
Boss man's right over here.
Hi.
How are things?
Oh, fine. Hey, pal, the junior partner's here.
Rewarding afternoon?
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe.
Mitch, who is this C.H. Littler you called me about?
Bo Littler. He used to play some pretty good football up north, turned pro, and then got tossed out because of rumored association with gamblers. He obtained a private investigator's license in San Francisco in 1960, and the license was suspended for 90 days in 1962 because of an alleged beating of a client's unfaithful wife. She wouldn't sign a complaint in the hospital. His license is up for review again, but he still has an investigator's credentials, which is how he got into the attorney's room.
Nice fellow.
Has a lot of charm. He drinks in the best clubs along the strip, knows a lot of important people. Oh, and he works part of the time as a private masseur.
Huh? Might be doing a little blackmail, a little strong arm, huh?
Everybody has to make a living.
And today you say he left our client pale and shaken. Look, Mitch, you stay on top of this Littler thing. Look for anything that might tie him into a girl named Angela DeSantis or one named Yvonne Blair.
And even though a key witness, Yvonne Blair, has disappeared, the people will prove Lawrence Tabner administered a dangerous drug to the deceased. An unlawful act. That he gave her the drug in such quantities that any reasonable and prudent man might know they could be harmful. Yes, even deadly. And when she became gravely ill, he denied her the care and treatment that might have saved her life. The people will prove Lawrence Tabner is guilty of manslaughter.
He complained of nervousness, lack of sleep. Said that he'd used various commercial sleep aids, tranquilizers, etc.
Now, Doctor, when you gave him this prescription for Simogen, did you give him any additional information?
I told him it should be used with extreme care, that it was habit-forming, and that under no circumstances should he exceed the prescribed dosage.
I see. Now, Doctor, tell me this in your professional opinion. At the time Miss DeSantis first became ill, would this fact have been apparent to anyone?
Oh, yes, she would have appeared quite ill.
And if at that time she'd been taken to a hospital, could measures have been taken to save her life?
Certainly.
And the longer this aid was denied her, the more certain her doom?
Objection.
Objection sustained.
Thank you, Doctor. Your witness, Mr. Egan.
No questions at this time, Your Honor.
The witness is excused.
Did you ask Mr. Tavener if Angela had tried to summon help for herself?
Yes, he stated that at one time she had wanted to phone for a doctor, but that he was afraid of a scandal in the police and asked her not to make the call. She agreed not to.
When you make a confession, you don't leave anything out, do you?
Well, Sergeant, I've indicated certain passages in that photostated confession you have there. Would you read the first?
Answer. I was panicky. I took her body down to the water. Then I heard a dog barking and I ran.
And the second, please?
Question by Sergeant Anderson. During the whole time from beginning to end, you were alone at your apartment with her? Answer, yes.
Oh, there's just one more thing, Sergeant. What was the first question that you asked the defendant?
I asked him how long he had known Angela DeSantis.
And what was his answer?
He said he'd never heard of her.
Continuing with the local news. It is expected that the prosecution will end its case today and allow famed attorney John Egan to present the defense. Unless some startling surprises are forthcoming, it seems Egan may have to continue a desperate...
Yes, Janice.
Mr. Lee, there's a young woman on the phone who insists on speaking to you but won't explain why. She says it has something to do with the beach house. Do you want me simply to tell her that...
No, I'll talk to her, Janice. Hello? Oh, yes, of course I've been following the trial. But, Yvonne, we've engaged the finest lawyer that...
But that's just it. His lawyer's letting them say that Larry was the only one. If he told them about all the rest, maybe it wouldn't be so hopeless.
Yvonne, have you been drinking? Yes, I understand. Well, look, perhaps the best thing would be for me to come over there and we'll talk this out. Well, I want to help him, too. Where are you now?
I don't know the exact address. I've been moving every day, just as you told me. It's on 3rd Street. It's called the Crestmont.
Ah. Well, I'll be going to lunch in a few minutes. Why don't you just take it easy until I get there? Right. Goodbye, Yvonne. I'll see you soon.
Goodbye.
Bo Littler. Bo.
Do you know where the Crestmont is? On 3rd. During my childhood, we moved around quite a bit from town to town. My father couldn't seem to hold a job long. These are just generalities, isolated facts. I want to know how your life affected you, how you felt about it.
You think anything I put down there is going to help us? Take a look at that jury when I walked by. If they had a rope, they'd have come over the rail.
Well, if you'd opened up in here, it might have helped. You realize that a jury, in deciding a man's fate, can be asked to consider the forces and events in his life?
The devil with them.
That attitude is quite helpful to us.
My life is my life.
I attended grade and high school in Gary, Indiana. My father worked for various firms.
He worked for a number of firms because he got fired from a number of jobs. He was a salesman. Drunk or sober. There'd be months before he could get a job. He'd loused up the last one so thoroughly. And he'd get one. He'd break his neck to order 5 rooms of furniture. A month. 2 months. They'd take it all back. My mother used to say, I had just loaned it to us, and I needed it again. She'd say that, and the tears would be running through her smile. Well, a lot of people had things worse, I guess. Don't we have to get back in there now?
We've still got some time.
You know, every stick of furniture in that apartment of mine was paid for. The car, the suits. I owned every bit of it.
You wanted to be everything your father wasn't, huh?
Yeah. I built somebody. Me. I started off at Wyman Metals in the stockroom. I watched men like Turner and Lee, how they dressed. I butted up their wives. I laughed at their jokes. 2 months ago, I thought I was so close to being one of them.
Why did Bo Littler come to visit you?
That's got nothing to do with this case.
Oh, come on, man. A moment ago, you were speaking truth that cried out it was truth. Why are you lying to me now?
Shut up! Shut up!
John.
What is it, Mitch?
We just got a flash. I was in the coffee shop with Miller when they told him. The Blair girl has been found in a hospital. Somebody beat her up. I guess would have killed her if the tenants hadn't gotten the door open. He got away, but she is still alive.
Is she conscious?
Coma so far. They say it would be almost impossible to recognize her. It was brutal, like some kind of animal had been at her.
You get back to the hospital, Mitch. If she comes to, see if you can get a minute with her.
Right.
There's a tie-up between what just happened to Yvonne Blair and Littler's visit to you. And beyond that, to Wyman Metals, isn't there?
Yes.
Do you want to open up now?
Why not?
Mr. Taverner, would you tell the court something of the events leading up to your being present at a beach house at 1511 Ocean Road on the night Angela DeSantis died?
On the morning of October 14th, I was called into the office of Mr. Turner Lee, Vice President in charge of public relations for Wyman Metals.
Was anyone else present?
Mr. Ned Wyman, Jr., General Manager of the company.
Mm-hmm. Were you given any information at the time as to the arrival of executives from Transmitted Products?
I was told that they were flying in on the morning of the 17th and that they would spend the day discussing the placing of a $2 million contract for electronic components with Wyman Metals. I was told that the placing of this contract was of vital importance to our company and that at least 2 other companies were able to offer at least competitive bids for the transmitted contract.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Taverner, how did this relate to your position?
Mr. Lee said that when it came right down to it, it was a question of who put these executives in the best frame of mind to do business. I was to help see that they had a good time in California.
And how exactly were you to accomplish this?
I was to get some girls who were, I think Mr. Lee used the word, sophisticated. I was to bring these girls to Mr. Lee's beach house.
Had you done this before?
Yes.
How many girls did you get on this particular occasion?
About 6. I don't even remember all their names. June Riley, Alicia Kane, Yvonne Blair, Angela DeSantis. I brought them there around 11 o'clock.
Look, honey, the only difference between Paris and Kansas City is the way a girl says yes. Well, I gotta tell you that by the time the wheels of that plane touched down, that old French chick was all over yours truly. If her husband hadn't been at that airport, I'd have... Oh, thanks, Billy boy.
Larry.
Larry, of course. Where was I?
If her husband hadn't been at the airport.
Oh, yeah, well, if her hadn't been there, I might not be here for this big, lovely bash. I'm sort of glad he was there. Hey, you.
Me?
Yeah. You. And just where are you going, may I ask?
I'm going down to the beach for a swim.
You put on a gorgeous little item like that and you're going to get it all wet out in the ocean?
Well, the surf's great at night.
And so me, could I go the way I am? Ooh. Have you seen the new Kansas City twist?
Well, is it different from the rest?
Well, you're just trying to stay on board.
Did you like the dance, baby?
Lots of fire, Angela.
Larry, let's go down the beach.
Don't you think we should? There are a lot of people around.
Say, we're still going swimming.
Oh, not right now. I don't feel like it.
Oh, yeah, right now, honey. I feel like it.
Well, I don't.
That's too bad. Expected a little more California courtesy there, Billy.
Larry.
Larry boy.
I need a drink.
Larry boy, fix me one too, will you? Margaretic's all upset.
I know. It comes on pretty strong, though.
And his old man owns 30,000 shares of Transmitted, a controlling interest.
I realize that, sir.
You saw the look he gave Angela? There's $2 million riding on that look. Come on, Larry boy. Onward and upward.
Angela. Yeah, gee. I know he's a bit much, but couldn't you be nice to him just for tonight?
Just how nice do you want me to be, Larry?
You know they came out here for a good time.
Well, there are all kinds of ways of having a good time. Oh, Larry, please. Let's get out of here. I mean, there are all kinds of girls in there. I mean, who wouldn't miss us that much anyway?
Reddick would.
Oh, baby, he's been so good with us these last 2 weeks. Before that, oh, Reddick, well, he wouldn't have made any difference at all. But not now, baby. Please, no, listen.
No. That's not what I want. But it's a way to get ahead. Well, it's the one way that never seems to fail. Angela, look. Maybe this'll spark you. Faster than booze.
I don't like to take those. I never have.
It'll take you way up.
Well, is that what you want, Larry? You want me so way up and so far out I don't even know what I'm doing.
Turner's waiting for his drink.
Larry! Well, you better not keep him waiting.
What did you do then?
I gave Turner Lee his drink. I told him Angela was taking a couple of pills to pep her up. And then I walked out on the porch and sat down in one of the chairs.
How long did you stay out on the porch?
About 20 minutes.
Why so long?
I suddenly didn't want to look at the other people there.
When you did go back into the main room, what was happening?
Angela was dancing with Art Reddick.
Baby, we need more privacy. Hey.
What's this? What's this?
Come on.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll take care of it. Larry, excuse me. Larry, get her in the bedroom.
Angela?
It's all right, folks. Little girl just had a little too much bubbly. Here we go. I got her. Have a drink. Keep dancing.
Drunk.
Having a good time? Good. Keep dancing. Hi, honey.
I carried her into one of the guest bedrooms. The party started up again. We told them that she was sleeping, that she had too much to drink. I kept checking on her.
Angela,
Yes, baby.
can I bring you some coffee?
No, thank you. I'm sorry. I feeded on your friend. I just don't seem to have any strength.
That's all right. Do you think you have enough strength to talk to Reddick?
I wanted to call a doctor, but I kept thinking he'd bring her to a hospital. Call the police. It would be in the papers. Her pulse was rapid.
Larry, that dance. Was it all right? It didn't offend you.
No.
It's something with me. When they're all around me, excited. It's not a good way for a girl to act.
Don't worry about that now.
Larry, kiss me. Kiss me.
I guess about a half an hour later, I went into the bedroom to check on her. Skin was very pale. Gray. Her breathing was faint. Then it stopped. And I knew she was dead.
During the entire time you were alone with Angela, she grew progressively weaker?
I've already told you that.
At one point, she asked you for a doctor. With another, she asked you for a kiss. You refused the first request, but you complied with the second.
I've already said that, too.
All right, tell me this. What did you feel when you realized that she'd stopped breathing, was dead? What? I suggest that at that moment, When you knew she could no longer bear witness against you, you were relieved. Now, isn't that true?
No. Yes, it's true. But only for a moment. Only for a moment. Only.
I suggest that when you retire to the porch of the beach house, it was not because you could no longer stand the sight of the other guests, but because you were shamed with your own guilt.
Oh, that's not true.
I suggest that at that moment you were aware you had persuaded Angela DeSantis to take an excessive amount of a dangerous drug, one you were totally unqualified to administer. You had gambled with a human life and you were afraid of the possible payoff.
No, I didn't. She must have taken the drugs after I left the kitchen.
You're telling the jury she was averse to taking the pills while you were in the kitchen and jumped at the chance after you left?
Objection. The prosecution is putting words into Mr. Taverner's mouth.
Sustained.
I have no further questions.
You step down, Mr. Taverner.
Will Mr. Turner Lee please take the stand?
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the case now pending before this court is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name, please.
Turner Lee.
Your Honor, please, I request permission for Mr. Egan and myself to approach the bench very briefly.
Yes, you may come forward, gentlemen. Mr. Egan, do you want the jury supplied with this information at this time?
No, Your Honor, but I should like to use this information in my interrogation of this witness.
Is that satisfactory to you, Mr. Miller?
Yes, Your Honor, it is. And I'd like to mention that Mr. Egan's associate, Mitchell Harris, helped to supply the information that led to this arrest.
Thank you, Jerry. Mr. Lee, you've been in this courtroom long enough to hear most of Mr. Taverner's story. Is it true?
No, sir, it is not.
True in part.
It's false in its entirety. And I should imagine when the people that young Mr. Taverner has been maligning here have a chance to speak and act, he'll be in more hot water than he is right now.
Hot water? Let us see, Mr. Lee, who is really in the hot water. Do you know a man named C.H. Littler, Bo Littler?
I've heard that name. I believe he's some sort of athletic figure.
Directing your attention back to the night of October 17th. You heard Mr. Taverner say that he handed you your drink, spoke to you briefly, then stepped out onto the porch of your beach house. Is that or is that not true?
Yes, that's true. Young Mr. Taverner told me that he had given Angela some pills to pep her up.
But still you were doubtful, apprehensive.
Well, yes, in the sense that one of my guests might be ill. And also the $2 million deal was on my mind. That's not small change, you know.
No. You were so doubtful and apprehensive that you, joined Angela?
No. I may have stepped into the kitchen for just a moment, yes.
When you did step into the kitchen, what did you see?
Angela, naturally.
And the bottle of pills.
Yes. Yes, I do recall. The bottle of pills was there on the table.
Unopened?
Yes. Apparently, Larry was unable to persuade the young lady to take them.
And you wanted to rectify that little matter, and you didn't know how deadly those pills could be, did you?
How could I? How could I know they were strong or dangerous? After all, I didn't know whether that young lady had had one drink or 20. I think, Mr. Egan, the testimony here is brought forward.
Let's get back to Mr. Littler. Right now, he's an inmate of the city jail. And he has signed a confession in which he admits the beating of one Yvonne Blair. Now, Mr. Lee, do you know Mr. Littler personally?
Slightly.
In this confession, he states that he performed this beating on your instructions and in your employ.
Well, that's not true.
Mr. Littler is not being charged with assault, Mr. Lee, but with attempt to commit murder. And there is a policeman in this courtroom right now with a warrant for your arrest for conspiracy in the same crime. Do you want verification of what I've just said from the district attorney?
Whatever Mr. Littler said is not true.
Mr. Lee, you are going to be arrested when you leave this stand. It's no longer a question of what offense you'll be charged with, but how many. So don't add the charge of perjury. Now, I ask you, what did you say to Angela when you gave her those pills?
Well, I can't give you the exact words, of course, but I think I told her the importance of the contract, and I tried to make her understand that whatever happened that night might be vital in young Larry Tavner's career. Yes, I think I made her understand that.
She doesn't understand it now, does she? Turner Lee is not typical. Lawrence Tavner is not typical. And his lifelong argument that he's only doing what everybody else does to get ahead is false. Lawrence Tavner lived in a skyscraper jungle of his own choosing. Play the game no matter what. Make the contacts no matter whom. Get to the top no matter how. Of a wanton disregard for the life of another human being, Lawrence Tavner is guilty of the use of a young girl's love and dependence to further a shabby and venal business career. Guilty of a lack of any personal decency. Guilty. And he is no less guilty because he is also a victim. He is no less guilty because he allowed rich and powerful men to use, manipulate, and corrupt him. And he, in his turn, used, manipulated, and corrupted. And he was well paid for his services. Of all these things, there is no doubt as to Lawrence Tavner's guilt, just as there is no doubt as to his innocence of the one charge for which the state has brought him in this courtroom. Lawrence Tavner made a suggestion to Angela DeSantis, which she did not then accept. He left the room, and another man, Turner Lee, entered that room. Lawrence Tavner left behind an unopened bottle of pills, which in part caused her death. And the other man, Turner Lee, persuaded her to take those pills. Lawrence Tavner may be guilty of many things, but to the charge of involuntary manslaughter against him, there is but one verdict.
The prisoner will rise and face the jury.
We, the jury, in the above-named cause, find the defendant not guilty as charged.
Defendant is to be released from custody. Court is dismissed.
I know you won't be tremendously upset if I don't launch into a long speech of gratitude.
I never expected one, Tavner.
In that last speech of yours, you just stopped short of crucifying me. In 100 years, if I'm lucky, I might get a job in a stockroom of a major American corporation.
And maybe that major American corporation would still be taking a gamble.
You sound as if you disagree with the verdict.
Not on a particular charge. But you might be guilty of a crime so terrible, we just don't have a name for it.
What?
Tavner, if this had happened in ancient times, the people would have had to stone you to death, just in order to save themselves.